Hey, Nico, thanks for getting together with me today. I think this is a really important topic, and I'm just going to dive right into it. So, what I notice in my own personal experience with communicating with Cosmic Towers is that it has a particular flavor of being tentative, of being head-based, I don't know if it goes all the way to anxious, but definitely after you've been staying with me for a while and I'm having an experience of being more in the heart space and being more connected, I'm really seeing the difference between who I was before we started spending time together and who I've had access to being. And so I want to kind of rewind the conversation and take it back to the first question that I asked you, and then share that with people because I know if I'm suffering with this, I'm not the only one. So the topic, guys, is how to communicate with the Cosmic Tower, and we'll start at the beginning. So I went to Nico and said, um, "What language do you use?" Right, that was the first. That was my first question. Right, what language do you use for communicating with your Cosmic Tower? So let's start fresh there.
Yeah, and what you bring up is a great point because it's a question I get all the time. And I notice people that are really good and straight away communicate with their towers, and then there are others that struggle most. And what I notice is the people that have the most issues with it are very much in their head, right? Because we have been trained from a young age that we always have to look for the exact words to communicate. Now, as most of us know, or might not know, it's that most of the communication between humans or between any living organism, it's not in the words. I think it's 90+% is in the feelings, right? So I find that people that are more focused on their feelings and come into a feeling state, it just naturally clicks because 90+% of that communication happens through a feeling state. And I think it's something that we've lost in our society, and we're so focused on finding the right words. And if you look at people that are really great communicators and that really are like congruent, what you notice is that when they communicate, you just get a certain feeling, right? And that's really where it's at. So rather than focusing on the words, let's focus on getting in the feeling state of what we would bring across. And you'll notice from there, the right words will flow.
It's so funny. I'm getting even deeper insights now, even after we've been living this question for a week. And what I'm getting right now is, a huge aspect of what I'm called to engage with in this life is emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And emotions, of course, are feelings. But what I'm getting in this conversation is that I've had a very head-based approach to working through my emotions. So I'm super aware and can tell you what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But that's different than being in a heart space. That's a different, like we have different domains of feeling that we're pulling forth in this conversation. I know they've been obvious to you, but they're becoming obvious to me as we unfold it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I brought this question to you originally, it was because you've come into my space to spend some weeks here, and that meant some reconfiguration. And reconfiguration meant moving a desk here and settling a chair there and things like that. And I know that feng shui and how things are aligned in physical space has a big impact on how things go. And so I asked you for help on that. And you guided me into my feeling state and into a feeling state relatedness with some of the cosmic towers that are in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened from there, everybody, is that I then, once I dropped into that feeling state, which I would describe as it's a little slower, it's less sharp, it's got a calmer expression to it. In contrast, it's like not anxiety, it's not worry, it's not, because when I asked Nico the question, like, what language do you use? Right? That's what I said. What language? I didn't say how do you communicate with your cosmic tower. I came from where I come from. What language do you use? And so what I remembered most from him instructing me about that, because I tend to lose things very quickly, was him using language like, you know, Cosmo is the name of my 75. Cosmo, please help me with this. And I remembered the sentence structure. But in actuality, what happened is I dropped into the feeling state. And once I got into the feeling state, I just started moving things around the house and realigning this over here. This leaves this room. This comes in here. This moves to a different place in this room. And the space that I'm now working in right here settled into a really nice feeling state.
Yes.
And yeah, and I'm remembering now, you guided me to uh to visualize what I wanted the room to feel like. And
Yes.
and remind everybody, like when you described a workspace for yourself, what did you say about it?
Well, my question would be, if you're gonna engage the mind, is how do I want it to make me feel? And really get to the feelings of it. Like for a workspace, what are the feelings that you want to have? And then, you know, putting yourself in that state of those feelings of having achieved them, and like disengaging the mind from it, but getting stronger and stronger into that feeling of the end result. And then when you're fully anchored into that, you know, and you can trust that the right words are going to flow. Right. And oftentimes, I'm not saying to not use words, right? But if you only speak words and your feelings are not in alignment, in resonance with those words, it's not coming from your whole being. Also know that your feelings are much stronger than your mental ability. So I like to reverse the process. Instead of coming from the words to then generate a certain feeling in the body, but let's start from getting to the feeling in the body of the end results. And I know that you can trust that from there, the right words will flow to ask what you really want.
That's
And
awesome.
I think we all know this, right? You can walk into a room and see a person halfway across the room and they're not speaking to you. They're not even speaking at all. Still, there is a communication. You strongly have a feeling about that person. That's just one proof. That's just one thing that goes to show that all these other things like our body language, etc., that are much more important. Even before we open our mouth, the communication has already happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I feel myself slowing down again right now. It's really fun. So on the most recent Lavanya members call where you did a teaching, you taught about generating a feeling state, accessing, dropping into a feeling state around feeling the heart. So, you know, we love our Cosmic Tower community too. And let's wrap this call up now that we've given them the direction to go, is their feeling state, with a little instruction from you about how to access a heart space and how you would encourage them to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really simple to drop into the heart. I mean, you can put your hand there if you would like to, and then you'd simply focus. You're feeling your heart or just feeling your chest and just relaxing. And it's normal, it's human that thoughts are going to pop in, but just simply notice them as clouds coming by through the sky. They come, and unless you entangle or engage with them, they'll go on their own accord. So simply observe them coming in and out, but just relax more and more into that feeling state. Feeling like the warmth in your chest, simply feeling the sensations in your chest, simply being aware of those. And you'll notice that things slow down. Just using your breath to relax even more. Taking a deep breath. Just letting everything out. And the more you relax into that feeling state, the deeper you go. You don't force yourself into a deeper feeling state. You just relax more into it. And that's just really simple way to do it. And I
That's
invite
beautiful.
everybody to do this multiple times a day because we're so caught up in our heads. We need a break from that. And when we just like, even if it's for 5 to 10 seconds, few times a day, you just give away all your thoughts. They'll be there later. And you just drop into that feeling state and you become much better at it. And then when you want to communicate with a cosmic tower, you come into that state. You just come into your heart, just let your mind go. And after a while, you know that you can trust that if you're in that heart space, communication will naturally flow. And when communication flows from this space, you're communicating from your entire being, not just from here, which is a very small portion of your being. It's also the portion where your limitations are. It's also the portion where the problems, the issues, the challenges are created. The answer is not going to be here. Include all of this, right? Lead with that. And then the right words will flow if there's going to have to be words. Oftentimes you'll notice that when you just are in that feeling state and then just come into the state that you want for the outcome, it just naturally starts to happen. You don't even have to speak.
That's so beautiful. Well, Cosmic Tower Project community members, we love you. We love the opportunity to steward this dialogue and to participate in spreading the project. And we offer this to you as a contribution to your knowing that you know how to communicate with towers. And we all do. And you can just drop into it. So thank you for being part of our community. And we'll look forward to seeing you around.